Gresh from the I Am CEO podcast, and I have a very special guest on the show today. I have Nikki Sharp of NikkiSharp.com. Nikki, it's awesome to have you on the show.
Thank you. I'm super excited.
I'm super excited to have you on. And what I want to do is just read a little bit more about Nikki so you can hear about all the awesome things that she's doing. And Nikki is a two-time best-selling author, creator of a #1 app, worldwide known health coach, and branding extraordinaire. She has been featured in Cosmopolitan, Shape, Elle, Men's Health, Women's Health, and is constantly interviewed for shows like Extra TV, Access Hollywood, Good Day LA, and Fox News Health. Nikki is followed by over 350,000 followers on Instagram and has helped countless companies improve their own social channels to see the results they want. Nikki, are you ready to speak to the I Am CEO community?
I am super ready. What an intro. Thank you.
Yeah, I know you're doing some awesome things, so you deserve that intro. So what I wanted to do was drill a little bit deeper and hear about your CEO story and what led you to start your business.
Perfect. Let's dive in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, can you tell us?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was a model for many years, and in that you don't necessarily have anyone telling you how to run a business, but you do learn that you have to manage money and you have to learn what jobs you do and don't want to take. And you show up to countries randomly with no cell phone. And there's all the things that go wrong with it. So I learned quite quickly how to, let's say, deal with being an entrepreneur without ever meaning to. And then from there, I was actually trying to overcome 2 eating disorders that I went through. And I started a health blog called Stay Sharp, Be Strong. And it was just a way for me to share the meals that I was cooking. And then I wrote an ebook and I sold it on Instagram. I was one of the first people to do that. And nice. It blew up. It sold 100,000 copies. Just, posting before and after photos. And from there, that turned into a 2-book deal, a #1 app. And obviously from creating my own brand and having the success that I have personally had, I realized that I want to help other people get the success that they want. And it seemed like a really natural fit to go from building my own brand to then serving and giving back and helping others get their own personal brands up and running.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. And it seems like this is the golden era, I guess you can call it, of personal brand and being able to tell your story and have people flock to you and connect with you just because you're being authentic and, talking about everything that you may be going through or trying to strive for or whatever's going on. Be able to have the tools at your disposal to be able to do that is powerful in this day and age.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And equally, everyone is trying to share who they are. They're trying to share their story. And what I find is that a lot of people mix trying to just share who they are and their story with, oh, I have a great idea, I can become a brand. And they don't always translate one to the other, but we all want to be heard and seen. And Instagram and social media and creating our own brands have allowed people to really feel heard and to get validation. And so it's a double-edged sword in that way, because we get validation from a like or a comment. And at the same time, it's given us an opportunity to become entrepreneurs and do things outside of the box and not be, the sheep of like 9-to-5 jobs where you hate your life and you're depressed. Mm-hmm. So, and for those people that love the 9-to-5 jobs and switching off at 5 o'clock, I'm all for that. I many times wish that I could turn off at 5 o'clock on a Friday.
I know what you mean.
But every job, every brand, every company has its pros and cons. And so I guess I'm just really blessed to be able to help people really understand what their passion is and whether it's a viable thing as just a side job, side passion, side hustle, or if they really have something that they can take full force. And this, oftentimes your biggest passions end up, when you start making it your work, end up not becoming your passion anymore because you realize how much work actually goes into it.
Yeah, it's funny how that works out where, you find that you love to do something, and then when you start doing it 24/7, so to speak, it starts not to become as much of a passion, and you have to find other things. So it's important to kind of, I guess, understand, what you're doing it for. If you're doing it just as an outlet, then maybe you don't necessarily want to create it as a brand. So it's always important to kind of balance that. So I know you touched on it a little bit. So could you tell us, I guess, a little bit more on, how you're helping to serve the clients and things that you're doing to help support them?
Yeah, absolutely. The way in which I work is actually quite different than most people, and this is because I read energy very well, and you and I can be on the phone and you can say, here are what my goals are. And I can sense the confusion or the passion or whatever it is that is coming out. And we don't even need to be on a video call. It's just, I can understand the tone of your voice and the way in which you say things, and also from where you currently are to where you want to go. So I work backwards with people and I say, all right, here's your plan. And it doesn't even need to be a 10-year plan, for example, but you need to have an idea of where you want to go. We all have that. We know, okay, I want to buy a house. Well, if you want to buy a house, the same as if you want to start a brand or you want to get followers on Instagram, I then start to work backwards and say, is this about launching a product? Is this about building a community? Or do you just need to get more followers quickly? Because each thing has a different way to get there. You can't say, I want all of them and expect them all to happen. Like when I had my book coming out in May, my second book, I knew that I was going to be gaining no new followers, but I was really going to be nourishing my community and getting them excited because they already knew me and they already knew my message. So when I work with people, it's about really diving into what their values are, what they're passionate about, what things do they hold that other people don't. So for example, I just worked with a client who is came to me saying I wanted to be an influencer, and I got really confused because she's like 50 years old and I couldn't understand what it meant as an influencer, but what she really meant was she wants to be influential. And those are two very different things.
Mm-hmm.
And oftentimes people don't know that they're different things. So like my goal in life is to be influential. If I'm an influencer on Instagram, for example, it's a byproduct of what I'm doing to help and serve people. So we worked together and found out that she's really passionate about consulting and doing consulting at a whole new way. And so we completely came up with a program, and she's now going back working on that. And then our next session, we dive into it. So I had to extract some ideas from a very vague concept that she was giving to me. And with the questions that I asked and my own personal experience, I was able to really, really help her get clarity on the mission, the statement, the product or service that it was that she wanted to do. So that's what I do with all my clients. And I get tremendous joy because I truly have helped people with social media, with selling books, selling out events, to growing their following, from doctors to very niche female doctors to real estate agents, money moguls, restaurateurs. I mean, you name it. I've worked with a lot of influencers as well. So there's not a single person that I can't help, because it all revolves around what are you trying to do? What's the short-term and long-term goal? And just because I know so many different fields, of publishing to self-publishing to app launch to ebook creation to all the social media channels, it becomes this really beautiful journey that I get to take with people.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like it, and especially with the fact that social media is literally everywhere. Definitely, it's important to kind of understand that no matter what avenue, like you mentioned, you can definitely help out from that perspective. But I love that the way that you distinguish that a lot of people sometimes come with a certain goal, but you try to basically ask those questions to really understand what the essence of that goal is and why they want to do it, because oftentimes we can sometimes be going down a path where maybe it's not what we truly want, but we're taking the steps in order to do that. So it's great that you're
Yeah.
able to do that. And now I wanted to ask you for what I call your secret sauce, and this is what you feel kind of distinguishes you or sets you apart. So do you have a secret sauce for yourself or even your brand that you're building?
Yes, I love this question too. Actually,
Hmm.
I've never been asked that.
Nice.
I would say that my secret sauce for me is to show up with trust in myself, in the universe, in God, in everything that happens, because each moment is a learning experience. And if something terrible happens, and we've all had it, both in our personal life and our professional life, it's a learning experience that we get to grow from and not make the same mistakes. So that for me is the secret sauce to which I live my day to day. I even have, I don't know if you can see, but
Hmm.
trust on my finger, because it's that. The other part is do all things with love. And I have a little heart there,
Nice.
because it's, you have to trust the process, trust yourself, trust others, and you have to show up with love for everyone around you. So that's for me. And when it comes to other people, the secret sauce is, or when I work with them, is really, I guess, diving into what that trust is and knowing that whatever is meant to come through me and channel through me to that client will. And I've never had a blank moment. I've never been like, oh no, I don't know what to do. So there's that. And I think it's also the amount of experience I've had in so many different fields, parallel with the fact that I get such joy helping other people. It just naturally becomes the secret sauce of, I look for, very much like you look forward to these interviews, I look forward to working with people and extracting that deepest desire, and how do we get there. And it's a beautiful journey, and I'm so blessed every time I get to take it with people. So
Yeah, I
I would say
definitely.
that's
Yeah, I love that. And I love, like, it kind of sounds like everything's in alignment. And especially when you have that love and trust, it sounds like that are your foundational principles when you're talking and working with clients and helping them out. It sounds like that just kind of manifests itself in not only your interactions with them, but it sounds like probably their end products and whatever activities they're trying to do as well.
Yep, absolutely. And it's all about, for the people that I work with, they, they have to put trust in me too. You're paying for a service, and we have to ultimately trust that we made the right decision, and trust that that person knows what they're talking about, and equally trust ourselves that we are on the right
Yes, that makes perfect sense.
path.
And now I wanted to switch gears a little bit and ask you for what I call a CEO hack. And this might be an app, a book, or a habit that you have, or even one of the things that you've created, but it's something that you feel kind of makes you more effective and efficient as a business owner.
Ooh, gosh, another great question. What makes me most effective, or what's a hack that I have? Oh, this is a good one. In the morning, and I'd like to say that I do it every day, but I don't. The days that I do it, I'm more effective though. I
Hmm.
actually don't check my phone for the first 30 minutes when I wake up. That time I realize is very sacred to me, and I'm far more effective in my day if I do 30 minutes of whatever it is I need to do. So maybe that's a meditation, maybe that's just writing a list of everything I want to achieve that day, or goals, intentions, taking a shower, making coffee. But in that 30 minutes, you you're not putting yourself into fight or flight mode. And one of the biggest things that people don't realize is the moment you check social media and you start to get the notifications, it alarms things in your brain, and it triggers certain responses, and your body does go into fight or flight mode. That's why a lot of people don't sleep very well at night. So by doing this, you actually set yourself up for a better day. And the other thing that I love to do is set timers for doing certain activities. So I'll set a timer if I need to go in and do all my social media posting or respond to comments. I'll set a 30-minute timer. And when that's done, it's done. Or I decide, okay, actually I need 30 more minutes. And you realize that you actually get things done a lot quicker and more efficiently, instead of it becoming this overwhelming, like, I have to do all of this today. You go through the checklist. And another great example is if you're trying to work out a business plan or deal with finances or whatever it might be, if you set 30 minutes every single day to do it, you're far more likely to commit to it and see results than if you try to attack it saying, okay, today I need to write a business plan.
Mm.
That's a little terrifying. So those two are my personal hacks that I do and I see huge results from.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I always tell myself in order to win the day, you have to win the morning. So I always tell myself to hit that morning
Mhm.
routine because if I do it, like you said, sometimes if I do pick up the phone, then that can definitely, make sure the day doesn't go as according to plan. And then I love the fact that you talked about kind of like, the time blocking piece where you figure out like how to do whatever you need to do in the time that you allow. So when you have 30 minutes, you can sometimes be more efficient than if you say, oh, I'm just going to do it today, and sometimes you never get
Yeah,
to. So
exactly.
yeah, that makes perfect sense. And now I wanted to ask you for what I call a CEO nugget. And this might be a word of wisdom or piece of advice, or if you can hop into a time machine, what would you tell your younger business self?
Oh gosh, those are like two totally great
Back to back.
questions as well. If I could go back and tell myself anything, it would be one to, I mean, sadly, not trust people so quickly. Do like more so do my research
Mm,
before, and I'm a very trusting person and I've been burned a lot of times now and I've lost a lot of money because of it. So I would say it's maybe not about trusting, but I don't think I necessarily trusted myself either in that. But you really need to research and do your due diligence with people that you're going to work with because they have the opportunity to make or break your trust, your confidence. They can take things from you, and equally they can build you up more than you ever thought. So I would definitely tell myself that, and I would also tell myself that no matter what happens, it will all be okay. Because we often go through things that like shit hits the fan, you lose money, you're sued, what and like I've had all of these. I've been sued so many times now. It's crazy from kind of crazy people and they're just money hungry and they see you as a vulnerable person and it's like, oh, that's kind of quick easy money, and that's maybe a subconscious belief that they have that they don't deserve the money. But anyways, I've dealt with that a lot, and you think it's the end of the world while you're going through it, and it's you always come out on top. You really do. You just have to believe in yourself in that. And what was the first one, the first
um,
question of the two,
piece
or did I?
piece of advice. Yeah, you actually hit it. You hit it.
Okay, great.
So yeah, piece of advice, or if you had any word of wisdom or anything else you wanted to add on,
Oh,
but I think
yep.
those hit it. Yeah,
Yeah, great.
yeah,
I would
absolutely.
I'll stick to it.
Final argument. No,
Final answer. Yeah.
I love that because a lot of times, and it's funny because I read that a lot when I read about a lot of successful, business owners and people that have been successful, that you automatically think that they woke up that day and then they became successful, but you don't
Yeah.
realize that it's an up and down. Life is up and down. Business is definitely up and down. So there's highs, there's lows, but being able to kind of trust yourself, trust the process, and say, hey, even the worst of the worst that I think it might be today, it still will be better tomorrow. So just keep on trudging along, it seems like.
Yeah. And I would also say to myself or to anyone else listening to really, really try to pay attention and look at what you're trying to do for business. Because if you're starting off with the side hustle that you're passionate about and you're like, I'm passionate, I want to bake cookies and make $1 million a year, oftentimes we don't realize all the overhead costs or the time we're going to have to put in, or that you really do lose the passion when it becomes the full-time work. And so I've had that where for about 2 years I lost passion for writing, for blogging, for everything, and I'm like, okay, what's going on? And in that I had to just allow myself to feel it and go through it and move through it. And I that's when I really started up the consulting side of things, because I realized that doing things only for myself was no longer fulfilling me. But when I get to give what I have in my talents to other people, it worked out perfectly. So in that, I needed to take a break from my own personal brand. And that's part of the journey of you maybe feel like a failure for switching courses, but now I'm so grateful that I get to do that. So
Yeah, and that's very powerful, and I think that it also kind of speaks to the fact that we as people sometimes change as well too. So we evolve, and sometimes our interests change or our goals change. But I imagine that being able to build your brand is definitely phenomenal. But I imagine like having a client that you're able to say, hey, they did X, Y, and Z by working with them, and I'm able to help them do that is probably even more phenomenal.
yeah, absolutely. And it's all the experience that you and I and everyone else goes through we can take those experiences and help other people to become their best selves. And that's what the law of attraction is. When you do that, you get more rewarded. And anyone that doesn't believe in the law of attraction should, because it's been proven by scientists that it works, and it's all a state of mind and being. And so work itself shouldn't be, you shouldn't hate it. You should not ever hate going to work. If you're doing that, then you're skipping out on the best days of your life, which is right now.
Absolutely, absolutely. It makes perfect sense. And now I wanted to ask you my absolute favorite question, which is the definition for what it means to be a CEO. And we're hoping to have different quote unquote CEOs on the show. But I wanted to ask you, Nikki, what does being a CEO mean to you?
Oh God, you asked really great questions here.
Thank you. Thank you. I told you I like doing this.
I love it. And I love not knowing questions before I come on, so that it's
Mhm.
just, you have to think right on the spot there. But
Rapid fire.
uh, the definition of a CEO is someone who owns whatever it is that they do in that position. You don't need to be a manager of 500 people. You can be you know, the cleaner of schools, the janitor, and you can be your own CEO and own that and make it yours. There's nothing worse than seeing people who despise their jobs, because you can make that job work for you and go in with gratitude and appreciation every single day and start to get to where you want to go by doing that. So pure and simple, a CEO, yeah, is someone who owns what they do with integrity, with love, and with passion, even if you're not passionate about it in that day or moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Makes perfect sense. And I love that definition because, a lot of it is in the foundation of, being able to be in control of like what you want to do, whether or not you have a certain CEO position or your manager, like you said, custodian, whatever it is, you have ownership of your day and of your time and of your reaction to things. So I think that's a phenomenal definition and a great reminder. So I appreciate you
Thank
for sharing that
you.
with us. And
Yeah.
Nikki, I truly appreciate you for taking some time out of your schedule. What I wanted to do was pass you the mic, so to speak, just to see if there was anything additional you want to let our readers and our listeners know, and also how best they can get a hold of you.
Ooh, well, I would say, I mean, I think I covered it pretty well because you asked such great questions, really
Thank you.
stimulating questions. I would just leave it with anyone who is looking to make a change in their life, whether it's, going into your own business or becoming your own CEO, or you want to move up in the ranks of the company you work for, or you're even trying to hit personal goals in your relationships or finances. It's really about finding a mentor, someone that can guide you, whether it's a coach, a consultant, a mentor, because we can't do it alone as much as we think we can. And and also really knowing that you are on a path that's so unique and special to you. And when we sit there and compare ourselves to other people on Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn, it takes away from that beauty of what you have to offer. So comparison is the thief of joy, and we want to live a joyous, fulfilled life every day. So those would be my two kind of parting comments. And anyone that wants to work with me and help get your brand up and running, or get a little more clarity on where you're going in life, you can find me at nikkisharp.com or Nikki Sharp on Instagram or Facebook. And as I said, I love working with people. I love motivating people. I am very blessed and honored to get to share things that I've learned and experienced and pass that on to other people. So that would be my final parting words of wisdom.
There you go. Case closed. So I appreciate you, Nikki, for taking some time out, and you're doing some awesome and phenomenal work, obviously. So I appreciate you for doing and showing up in the world. And I hope you have a phenomenal rest of the day.
Thank you so much. Thank you. You as well.